Hello, and welcome to the top 10 posts of Ctruth in 2019. Before we begin the top 10 countdown, I will cover some of Ctruth's history. Ctruth was originally established in the form of a WordPress website on the 2nd of January 2019 by Steven Sorensen. The intent behind creating the website was and still is to publish educational information for public review pertaining to the arenas of the sciences and the humanities. The intent was inspired by the works of Anatoly Fomenko. Since then, Chronology Truth has spread to Patreon, Minds, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and Twitter. One thing to keep in mind is that the articles on the website are subject to being updated whenever better or additional information is acquired by the Ctruth team. This means that an article which you may have been familiar with might contain new content since the last time that you checked it. It can be useful to check on articles that you enjoyed reading to see if there is anything new available in them. If you have suggestions about content to improve an article, all of the pages on the website allow commenting, and you can comment on the ones you wish to improve. Or, if you want to maintain privacy, you can email your suggestions to chronologytruth@gmail.com. With all that being said, here are the top 10 posts of Ctruth's first year. Number 10. The 12 Months. The 12 Months was published on January 25th. It covers the popular notions about the origins of the names of the 12 months, as well as covers the notions put forth in Fomenko's New Chronology. The gist of the New Chronology view is that the first 8 months are named after members of the royal family of the Great Empire, and that the last 4 are named after numbers. Number 9. Using astronomy to date the Book of Revelation. Using Astronomy to Date the Book of Revelation was published on November 11th. It covers the notions put forth in Fomenko's New Chronology about the supposed astronomical symbolism which is contained in the biblical book of Revelation. The ideas rely heavily on observational astronomy to obtain satisfactory dates for when the planets could have been observed in the formation which is supposedly reported in Revelation. Fomenko's analysis obtained the date of October 1st, 1486 AD for when the events in the book were observed and recorded. Number 8. Odin as Christ, Primer. Odin as Christ, Primer was published on January 6th. It is a primer for another article that is entitled Odin as Christ. The main conclusions that were arrived at are that Icelandic and Scandinavian history surfaced out of obscurity in the 17th century. Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda surfaced out of obscurity in the 17th century. The Icelandic and Norwegian homily books both surfaced out of obscurity in the 17th century. The 2 synoptic histories of Norway surfaced out of obscurity in the 19th century. Number 7. Pompei, lost for 1,684 years or known through the ages. This article was published on November 2nd. It covers the issues with the idea that Pompei's name and location were forgotten shortly after the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD, and that they were not rediscovered until the 18th century. The article reveals the works of 6 specific people from the 16th and 17th centuries who report the exact name and location of Pompei. This article is the first in a series that is still under development that deals with issues concerning the history of Pompei. Number 6. Ancient Egyptian Timeline Comparisons. This article was published on March 6th. It contains an analysis of 20 online sources containing timelines of Egyptian periods of history. The result of the analysis was the discovery that dating of time periods prior to the 11th century BC varied between sources by at least 150 years and at most by 4,500 years. The dating of time periods during and after the 11th century BC until the arrival of the Greeks varied between sources by at least 16 years and at most 190 years. These are considerable variations, and to our knowledge, this article has not yet received a comprehensive explanatory response for why these variations exist. Number 5. Origins of Religions. This article was published on January 28th. It reports on the origins of religions in light of Fomenka's New Chronology. Fomenka's New Chronology traces the origins as far back as around 1000 to 1100 years ago. Fomenka's chronology reveals today's major religions are all offshoots of the ancient Christian religion, which itself is an offshoot of ancestral worship. Number 4. 5 issues with chronology. This article was published on January 20th. It is based upon an excerpt found in the beginning of Volume 1 of Anatoly Fomenka's History, Fiction or Science, which expands on some issues pertaining to Egyptian timelines, ancient sources, archaeology, dendrochronology, and radiocarbon dating. Number 3. Over 160,000 full-color manuscript pages now available online for free. This article was published on November 29th. It contains links and information about a collection of over 160,000 high-definition full-color manuscript pages that had just recently been digitized and uploaded to the internet. The collection has thousands of beautiful images and clear texts of manuscripts that were previously difficult to gain access to. Efforts to preserve and disseminate information which has been handed down to us from our ancestors are noble efforts. Thanks goes to the Philadelphia Area Consortium of Special Collections Libraries and other involved parties for successfully completing their 3-year endeavor to get these manuscripts online for public access. Number 2. Odin as Christ. This article was published on January 7th. It is primarily based on Chapter 5 of Anatoly Fomenka's Beginning of Horde Russia. It lists and expands upon comparisons between Odin and Christ. The list contains 9 notable similarities, among which are their shared stories of being pierced by a spear while being hung in an attempt to save the world, their legendary associations with the beverage of wine, and their identical titles of Creator of the Universe. Number 1. On the Etymologies of Romulus, Remus, and Rome. This article was published on December 9th. It is the latest of publications in the top 10, but it quickly rose to its place as number 1 shortly after publication. The article speculates on the etymologies of Romulus, Remus, and Rome. It includes popular theories about the origins of the words as well as personal comments from the author. That concludes the top 10 posts of Ctruth's first year. A special thanks goes out from the Ctruth team to all of the Ctruth patrons who decided to pledge this year. We thank you for your continued support. You can be a Ctruth patron and gain access to exclusive Ctruth benefits and events for as low as $1 a month at patreon.com/Ctruth. Follow Ctruth on major social media platforms for the fullest Ctruth experience.